Have you ever wondered why two people living in the same city, facing the same economic headlines, can have wildly different experiences with inflation? For one, it might feel like a minor inconvenience, easily absorbed. For another, it can be an overwhelming force, threatening their financial stability. This profound difference often has less to do with individual effort or intelligence, and everything to do with where someone stands in their life journey. If the concept of inflation has ever felt deeply personal, confusing, or uneven in its impact, this comprehensive video is meticulously designed to illuminate precisely why. We will analytically dissect the economic forces at play, providing you with a robust framework for understanding this critical aspect of personal finance. Before we embark on this educational journey, let's clearly define the scope of our discussion. This video is not intended to pass judgment on past financial choices or to dictate what anyone should have done differently. Our aim is purely analytical and informative, focusing on economic literacy rather than prescriptive advice. Furthermore, we will not be attempting to predict future economic trends or market movements. Instead, our objective is to equip you with a deeper understanding of inflation's differential impact. By the end of this session, you will grasp why inflation manifests so distinctly across various life stages, identify the structural economic factors that create these disparities, and recognize how this insight clarifies both your personal financial experiences and broader public economic debates. The ultimate goal is enhanced understanding, fostering clarity over comparison. Inflation is frequently presented as a singular, monolithic number, often reported as a national average. However, this aggregate figure can be profoundly misleading when applied to individual financial realities. People do not experience the economy through averages, they navigate it through their specific, tangible expenses. Consider your monthly budget, rent or mortgage payments, the cost of groceries, daily transportation expenses, healthcare premiums, and the fluctuating value of your savings. The relative importance and impact of each of these categories shift dramatically depending on your age, income, and financial obligations. This is precisely why inflation feels intensely personal, because its effects are experienced uniquely by each individual's household economy. Understanding this distinction is fundamental to effective personal finance and budgeting. For individuals in the early stages of their adult lives, typically young adults just starting their careers, the financial landscape presents a unique set of challenges and opportunities. Income levels are often at their lowest point, reflecting entry-level positions and limited professional experience. Simultaneously, many are burdened with significant student loan debt, further constraining their disposable income. Savings, if present, are usually limited, making the establishment of an emergency fund a critical but often difficult first step. Housing costs, particularly rent in competitive urban markets, consume a disproportionately large share of their income, leaving little room for other expenses. Inflation, therefore, manifests most acutely through rising rent, escalating food prices, and increasing transportation costs, directly impacting their tight budgets. Despite these exposures, this life stage often offers a crucial advantage: flexibility. Young adults typically possess greater job mobility, allowing them to seek higher-paying opportunities or pivot careers more readily. They also tend to have fewer fixed financial commitments, such as mortgages or dependents, which provides more agility to adjust consumption patterns. For instance, they might opt for public transport, cook more meals at home, or choose more affordable entertainment. While inflation feels sharp and immediate, it is often navigable through strategic adjustments and a proactive approach to budgeting and saving. This period is also ideal for beginning investment planning, leveraging the power of compounding over a long time horizon, even with modest contributions. As individuals transition into mid-career, their financial profile typically evolves significantly. Income levels generally rise, reflecting increased experience, skill development, and career progression. This enhanced earning capacity often brings a sense of greater financial stability. However, this stability is frequently accompanied by a substantial increase in financial obligations and fixed expenses. This stage is characterized by major life investments, purchasing a home, raising a family, and planning for children's education. Consequently, housing costs, Childcare expenses, educational savings, and healthcare premiums become dominant components of the household budget. Unlike early adulthood, where flexibility is a key coping mechanism, mid-career individuals often find their financial commitments far more fixed and less amenable to rapid adjustment. Selling a home, changing schools, or altering childcare arrangements are not simple decisions. Inflation during this period often feels less like chaotic price spikes and more like a persistent, constraining pressure. Rising prices for essential services and goods erode the purchasing power of their hard-earned income, making it harder to save for long-term goals like retirement or college funds. This erosion doesn't feel temporary. It feels like a direct threat to carefully constructed long-term financial plans. Effective budgeting, strategic investment planning, and diligent debt management become paramount to maintaining financial equilibrium and progressing towards future aspirations. Diversifying investment portfolios and regularly reviewing financial plans are crucial strategies for mid-career professionals. For individuals in their later career stages, and especially those transitioning into retirement, inflation presents a distinct and often more insidious vulnerability. The primary concern shifts from income growth to the preservation of purchasing power. Many retirees rely on fixed or semi-fixed incomes, derived from pensions, Social Security, or fixed income investments. For this demographic, price increases directly erode the predictability and sufficiency of their established income streams. A 3% inflation rate might seem modest, but over a decade, it can significantly diminish the real value of a fixed pension or savings. Adjustments to spending patterns become increasingly difficult as many essential expenses, such as healthcare, become non-negotiable and often increase at rates higher than general inflation. Inflation in later life often feels quiet but profoundly unsettling. It's not dramatic, like a sudden job loss, but rather a persistent, slow-motion erosion of financial security. This is why inflation anxiety can escalate significantly among retirees, even when their spending habits remain unchanged. Their fixed income simply buys less over time. Strategic investment planning during the accumulation phase, focusing on inflation-protected assets, and careful budgeting in retirement are critical to mitigating this risk and ensuring a comfortable standard of living. Understanding how to draw down assets sustainably is also a key component of financial literacy for this group. The impact of inflation is not solely determined by one's life stage. It is also profoundly influenced by an individual's financial structure, specifically their asset ownership, debt profile, and the timing of economic events. These elements create additional layers of differential experience. Consider those with fixed-rate debt, such as a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. For them, inflation can, paradoxically, feel less burdensome. As wages and other prices rise, the real value of their fixed debt payments decreases over time, effectively making their debt cheaper to repay with inflated dollars. This contrasts sharply with individuals holding variable-rate debt, where interest payments can increase alongside inflation, adding significant financial strain. Conversely, those whose assets are primarily held in cash or low-interest savings accounts experience a direct and immediate erosion of their wealth. The purchasing power of their money diminishes with every percentage point of inflation. In contrast, individuals holding assets that tend to adjust with inflation, such as real estate, commodities, or certain equities, may find their wealth better preserved or even enhanced. These differences are not a reflection of moral choices or intentional strategies by individuals. Rather, they are structural outcomes of how inflation interacts with various financial instruments and economic conditions. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for informed investment planning and risk management. Because inflation's impact is so varied and deeply personal, public conversations about it often appear disconnected and even contradictory. One person, perhaps a young professional with a fixed-rate mortgage and a rising income, might genuinely state that inflation isn't that bad or that they are managing well. Simultaneously, a retiree on a fixed income or a young family struggling with soaring rent and grocery bills might vehemently declare that inflation is overwhelming and devastating their finances. Both perspectives are entirely valid and correct within their own lived experiences. They are not describing different realities, but rather different exposures to the same economic phenomenon. Their unique financial positions, life stages, and asset/debt structures dictate how inflation manifests for them. Recognizing this fundamental truth is vital for fostering more productive economic dialogue. It helps to reduce frustration, minimize miscommunication, and build empathy across different demographic groups. This analytical framework allows us to move beyond anecdotal evidence to a more nuanced understanding of economic impacts. To truly grasp the multifaceted nature of inflation, we must adopt a more sophisticated and accurate framework. Inflation does not strike uniformly across the economic landscape. Instead, its effects are intricately interwoven with several key personal financial variables. It interacts dynamically with an individual's current life stage, influencing which expenses are most prominent and how flexible their budget can be. It is shaped by their income structure, determining how readily they can absorb rising costs or if their earnings keep pace. The specific mix of their expenses, whether dominated by housing, healthcare, or discretionary spending, also dictates their personal inflation rate. Finally, their financial flexibility, including savings, debt structure, and asset holdings, plays a crucial role in their ability to adapt. Recognizing that inflation's impact is a complex interplay of these factors does not eliminate the challenge of rising prices. However, it profoundly explains why individual experiences vary so widely, providing a clearer lens through which to interpret both personal financial situations and broader economic trends. This analytical approach is foundational to sound personal finance. Let's return to the core insight that underpins our entire discussion. Inflation feels profoundly different depending on where someone is in their life journey because the composition of their costs, the structure of their income, and their inherent financial flexibility all evolve significantly over time. A young adult's budget priorities are vastly different from those of a mid-career professional or a retiree. Understanding this fundamental principle is not merely an academic exercise. It is a powerful tool for enhancing your economic literacy. It empowers you to interpret both your personal financial experiences and the often conflicting public conversations about the economy with greater clarity, less frustration, and a more informed perspective. This insight allows for more effective personal financial planning and a deeper appreciation of the diverse economic realities within our society. Please like this video if you have enjoyed it or received any benefit from it. Every one of your likes truly encourages us to continue creating helpful content. Thank you for watching and have a blessed day.